What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Yes, long time no see. I have not uploaded in a while. There's a reason for that, or several reasons, but it's not important. The important thing is I'm uploading now. I do not promise to upload consistently again. That's not a promise, but I'll try my best, and that's all I can do. But I am glad to be making a video again. And also, disclaimer before I really start this, if I sound sick and tired, it is because I am sick and tired. I came down with something over the weekend, tested negative for COVID twice on Friday, and negative for strep. But I don't know, just something really bad, but it doesn't matter. I'm getting over it. Give me a day or two and it'll be completely gone. But no further ado, let's get into my recap of week 1 of college football, plus my personal top 10 after the week. Okay, Thursday night, number 17 Pitt beat West Virginia 38-31. This was a really good game, especially a Thursday game. Nice introduction to week 1. I loved it. Of course, the big storyline going into this game was JT Daniels versus Caden Slovis revenge game. If you do not know, JT Daniels was like a 5-star, I believe, coming out of high school. I think number 1 quarterback in the class or number 2 quarterback in the class. And Caden Slovis was at USC too, I believe, also a 4 or 5-star. And JT Daniels, I believe freshman or sophomore year, I don't want to say broke his leg. Maybe he tore his ACL. Some season-ending injury, and Caden Slovis stepped in. And because of that, and Caden Slovis did pretty good, so JT Daniels left, transferred to Georgia. Didn't really get any playing time at Georgia. He tried, but Stetson Bennett, of all people, I don't want to disrespect Stetson Bennett. Obviously, he beat my Alabama Crimson Tide last year. But Stetson Bennett, of all people, beat him out in a QB battle. So, JT Daniels is now at West Virginia. Caden Slovis had some problems at USC, some injuries, some playing issues. Anyways, long story. Some people transferred in there. A lot of factors. Caden Slovis transfers to Pitt. So, 2 guys who are on the same team now going against each other. It was a great game. I believe it was 31-31. Really competitive game in the fourth quarter. And then I can't remember. I believe it was JT Daniels threw a pick. I believe it was off the hands of a receiver. Maybe it was too high. But JT Daniels threw a pick 6. And Pitt returned it. That ended up winning the game. JT Daniels tried to go down the field. And it was 4th and 19. And he dropped back. He threw over the middle to his wide receiver near the goal line. And it was just a little bit too short. The receiver caught it, but it hit the ground, so it's an incomplete pass. But it's a really good game, 38-31. Number 17 Pitt beat West Virginia. I personally picked West Virginia to win, but Pitt pulled out the win. Then on Saturday, we had number 19 Arkansas playing Cincinnati. Number 19 Arkansas won 31-24. Although I am impressed with Cincinnati, you got to remember, their best season in program history. Hell, maybe the best season for a group of 5 team in college football history last year. Made it to the college football playoff. Of course, they got beat by my Alabama Crimson Tide, Roll Tide. But, they lost a lot. They lost Desmond Ridder, their quarterback. They lost Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant, I believe. Their corners to the draft, plus a bunch of other people. So, they lost a lot, but they kept it competitive. I'm high on Arkansas. I believe they're a very good team, very competitive team. Maybe if they weren't in the SEC, the best conference in college football, if they were in the ACC, the Pac-12, the Big 12, maybe they could win a conference, stick into the playoff. I'm that high on Arkansas, but I do believe they play in the SEC, the hardest conference in football. So I don't know about a playoff run, but that just goes to show you how high I am on Arkansas. And the fact Cincinnati kept it very competitive is a testament to how good Luke Fickell is as a coach. KJ Jefferson impressed me with 4 touchdowns, 3 through the air, 1 on the ground. I think KJ Jefferson is a very good quarterback, top tier SEC quarterback. And I really do believe Cincinnati could have won this game, but their quarterback, Ben Bryant, he did not look great. Now, I'm not a person who would hate on any specific person. I don't mean to call him out by name like that. But as just a casual watcher, I watched him and he missed so many passes. There were moments where he didn't really lead his receivers all the way down the field, underthrew them, and that resulted in loss of points. Or there's several touchdowns he just straight overthrew, wide open ones. And hell, maybe if they had a better quarterback, respectfully, or if they didn't lose Desmond Ridder, hey, I could really see Cincinnati pulling off this upset. But Arkansas wins nonetheless, starts out 1-0. Then, the defending national champions, sadly, the defending national champions, number 3 Georgia, destroyed, and I'm put emphasis on that, absolutely obliterated number 11 Oregon. Now, I wasn't too high on Oregon to begin with. I think Oregon's an overrated team. I didn't think they were that great last year. I think Oregon benefits from playing in the Pac-12, a very weak conference. I think you put Oregon in the SEC, they're lucky to be a top half team in the SEC. I'm going to be honest with you. But I thought there was some potential not to upset. I believe Georgia was winning this game all the way. But potential to make this a good game. But I did think Georgia was going to win by two, maybe 3 scores. I did not see 49-3, though. I did not see 49-3. Do not overlook Georgia this year. You're about to hear, when I do my top 10, how good I think Georgia is. But do not overlook Georgia. Of course, I'm an Alabama Crimson Tide fan. But I call it like I see it. And Georgia is a amazing team. Stetson Bennett looked better, the quarterback. Their rushing attack looked great as always. Their receiving threats, those 2 tight ends, Bowers and Darnell Washington, man, those are problems. Those are straight up problems. Good receivers. And that defense on clamps again, only allowing 3. If you do not know, the quarterback for Oregon in this game was former Auburn quarterback and my least favorite college football player of all time, probably, Bo Nix. Again, Bo Nix was absolute garbage. He was not good at all, throwing 2 picks in the first 15, 18 minutes of this game. And they weren't pretty picks either. The first one, you can make a case it wasn't that bad, but I'm just saying you had more arm strength on that first pick down the field. He would have got the touchdown instead of a pick. And the second one was just irredeemable. It was just straight to the Georgia defense. And so, yeah, Georgia absolutely destroyed Oregon, and Georgia looks like they have not skipped a beat, which is scary for the rest of college football. Then, later that night, Florida. The Florida Gators upsets number 7 Utah, 29-26. This is why I was really mad when I came down with a sickness. I was going to put out my predictions for week 1, and I called this. I said Florida was going to upset number 7 Utah. I called it. But nobody's going to know now. Nobody's going to know. But it's all right. Very competitive game. Came down to the final seconds. I believe 40 seconds, 30 seconds left in this game. Utah was on the 5-yard line. I dropped back to pass. Utah quarterback throws it to the end zone. It's picked off by Florida. Florida wins. Billy Napier gets his first W in his first game. I'm a big Napier believer. I don't think he's going to win an SEC championship or maybe even a division title with the way Georgia's going. But I do think he's a really good coach. Shame he has to play in the SEC. I think he could be a lot better elsewhere. But I do think he's a good coach. And he has a bright future ahead of him, especially what he pulled off in his very first game. Anthony Richardson, a.k.a. AR-15. Anthony Richardson. He is him. He played an outstanding game, and that's all I've been hearing about this game over the weekend is just how amazing Anthony Richardson play. I didn't get to watch too much of this one. I tried to keep up with it. I saw the highlights and the recap on SEC Network. I tried to watch the last few minutes. I was busy watching my Alabama Crimson Tide, which I'll get to in a minute. But I do hear that Anthony Richardson was very great. And, I mean, you can just look at the stat sheet and tell. 270-plus yards and 3 touchdowns. That's insane. And not to mention, he went for a 2-point conversion. This helped Florida win the game, where he scrambled back. 2 defenders running at him, pump faked, spun around, and threw it to the end zone. I mean, it looks something straight out of Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M-esque. It was crazy. So, I think Florida has a bright future. Billy Napier's a good coach. And Anthony Richardson, dark horse Heisman candidate. Hear me out. Dark horse Heisman candidate. Ohio State beat number 2 Ohio State. Beat number 5 Notre Dame this week. 21-10. This was the most hyped game of the week. And I'm not going to lie, my prediction for this game, I thought Notre Dame was going to get blown out. I've seen Notre Dame play in too many high-stakes games in a top 10 matchup and then get blown out of the water. I thought Notre Dame was going to do this time. This time it was different. Notre Dame held their own. It was 10-7, a good way into the third quarter, I believe. I mean, if Notre Dame could have had an offense, because Notre Dame didn't score any points in the second half. If Notre Dame would have had just a heartbeat of an offense, a semblance of an offense, OSU would have been in serious trouble. Now, this game has me asking, though, only 7 points, good way into the third quarter. Where's this Ohio State offense that was hyped up all season? I mean, I'm even a big believer in them, but I was told they're supposed to be better than Alabama, better than Georgia, better than Texas, better than all these other top-tier offenses, in my opinion. Where is that? I heard C.J. Stroud was supposed to be better than Bryce Young. I heard this was C.J. Stroud's Heisman campaign. It didn't look like it last night. Now, I'm not going to say he played a terrible game. He played a decent game. That just didn't look like the Heisman Trophy winner to me. But it does have me asking one thing. Is Notre Dame better than they thought? My bad, I'm phrasing this wrong. Is Notre Dame better than we thought? Or is Ohio State worse than we thought? Yeah, I think it may be a little bit of both. But we'll see. I think Marcus Williams is a good coach. He's a little young. Might take him some time to really get it. But I think Marcus Williams could get this team to the playoffs in the few years. Notre Dame. Then, this other game I tried to watch. North Carolina beat Appalachian State 63-61. Yes, you heard that score. No, it's not basketball. 63-61 in football. This was a crazy game, back and forth. No defense to be found in this game. It was crazy. Okay, so Appalachian State scored a touchdown. They went for 2. The quarterback overthrew the wide receiver. Wide receiver was wide open. Quarterback simply overthrew him. It was terrible. And then Appalachian State goes for an onside kick. North Carolina recovers, takes it to the end zone. I don't know why North Carolina would do that. That's a mistake. Yeah, they score the touchdown. They give the ball right back to Appalachian State. Why would you do that? Appalachian State goes down, scores a touchdown. They try for the 2-point conversion. They don't get it. 2 failed 2-point conversions. It could have went to overtime. It would have been crazy. But crazy game nonetheless. It was really a joy to watch. Then, let's talk about my team. Number 1, Alabama Crimson Tide absolutely wrecked the Utah State Aggies 55-0. Yes, goose egg in the first game. And there's not much I can say about this game other than Alabama. They look like Alabama. Nick Saban, it looks like Nick Saban. And Bryce Young, he looks like Bryce Young. I mean, absolutely just domination from start to finish. Very few mistakes. But there's going to be mistakes everywhere. This is about as close to a flawless game as you can get, in my opinion. But yeah, Bryce Young, I mean, you have to ask the question, I mean, is he potentially on for a second Heisman campaign? 300-plus yards, or almost 300 yards, plus 6 touchdowns in only a half, or a half and a drive in the third quarter. But basically one half of football. It's insane. Could he win a second Heisman Trophy? I don't know. I don't want to call that right now. Get ahead of myself. But it's possible. It is possible. And also one thing I say before I move on from this game. People have been disrespecting Utah State. No. Utah State only lost 2 or 3 games last year. I believe 3 games last year. I believe I went like 10-3 or something like that. Do not disrespect Utah State. They are a good team. They did lose some pieces. But they are not this bad. And I know they played a lot of lower tier teams last year. I mean, they didn't play an SEC schedule at all. I'm not saying that. But it's not Mercer. It's not any of these other lower tier teams. Utah State's a decent team. I mean, I'm impressed. I thought Alabama was going to win, and we were going to win handily. I just didn't think it was going to be 55-0. I'm very impressed with Alabama. Roll Tide. Then on Sunday, this was the best game of the week. Holy cow. Florida State Seminoles. They shocked the LSU Tigers 24-23. If you have not watched this game, leave the video. Put me in the watch later or come back. Please come back and finish the video. But my point is, go on YouTube and Google the highlights of this game. This game was crazy. Especially the fourth quarter. First 3 quarters, they were all right, pretty good. Fourth quarter was absolutely insane. Easily best game of the week. So, 24-17, right? With about 2 minutes left. Florida State, or a minute and a half maybe, I don't know. Florida State punts. Okay, LSU's set to receive all the way on like the 6. LSU fumbles the punt, muffs the punt, and Florida State falls on it at about the 5 or the 6. Florida State tries to run for a touchdown to put the nail in the coffin. They go to the 1 yard line and fumble, and LSU falls on it. With about a minute left, LSU drives all the way down the field to the 3 yard line with 1 second left. And then Jaden Daniels, the new LSU quarterback, takes the ball. He throws. 1 second left. End zone touchdown. LSU Tigers. 24-23. All they have to do is kick the extra point, and it's going to overtime. I'm sure you can tell where this is going, though. They go for the extra point, and Florida State blocks the extra point. The Seminoles win. Big win for Florida State. I mean, they've just been struggling these past few years. Man, I don't need to tell you that if you watch college football. They've been struggling. So this was a huge win over an SEC school. The only SEC school to lose week 1 is LSU. But, big win for Florida State. Brian Kelly and Jaden Daniels didn't look great. Jaden Daniels didn't look like the person I thought he was. Brian Kelly's supposed to be a great coach coming in to coach LSU. He didn't look great. His press conference after the game, he didn't look confident in the team. I'm not really a big believer in him. And I think we have to ask, is Mike Norvell, the Florida State coach, can he turn Florida State around? Is he him? Is he the coach to turn Florida State around? That remains to be seen. Then, on Monday, last game, number 4 Clemson beat Georgia Tech 41-10. Do not let the score sheet fool you. It does not tell the full story. This was closer than intended. Clemson did not look like a number 4 team. This was once, I believe, in the second quarter, or maybe the third quarter, I believe second. It was a 14-10 ball game, and Clemson was not exactly dominating like they should over Georgia Tech, one of the worst teams in Power 5. If Clemson was not playing one of the worst teams in Power 5 in Georgia Tech, if they were playing maybe a mid-range team or, God forbid, a great team, Clemson would have been in serious trouble. They did not play great last night. They did not look like a number 4 overall team in the country. I don't mean to bag on Clemson too much. I mean, I know I have Clemson fans that watch. Shout out to Clemson fan 1. But, they just didn't look great. DJ, forgive me for how I'm about to pronounce his name, but DJ Uga, I swear I'm not trying to do this on purpose. don't try to mispronounce people's names. I find it disrespectful. But DJ Uga, my apologies. I mean, he just doesn't look good. He just doesn't look good at all. I mean, he was supposed to come in, be, just like Deshaun Watson, just like Trevor Lawrence, come in, be great, a 5-star. I mean, I heard some people saying he was going to be better than Bryce Young, which is a laughable take now. But he just does not look good. I mean, he can't move the ball downfield. And honestly, in the limited playing time Cade Klubnik, the backup quarterback for Clemson, Clemson's backup quarterback looked better than DJ. I mean, DJ just has not lived up to expectations since he got in there. And I would not be surprised if DJ got set sometime during the season. But that was my recap of week 1. Now let's get into my top 10. Before I get into the top 10, do not take this too seriously. There's only been 1 week, 2 if you count week 0, but whatever. 1 week of college football. There's not much to go off of other than preseason expectations. So I'm sorry if I have your favorite team below another team and you think they should be a spot or 2 higher. Do not take it seriously. It is week after week 1, is all I'll say. So honorable mentions, Oklahoma, Texas, USC, very high expectations. They'll get to prove it, especially Texas this week going against Alabama. You'll hear exactly what I think about of that game when I do my prediction video later this week. But those are my honorable mentions. At number 10, I had the team I just bagged on, the Clemson Tigers. Now, did I rag on them? Yeah. But their defense did look outstanding. Now, they played against Georgia Tech's offense. Not exactly a great offense. But, Clemson's defense still looks like a top 10. They look like a top 10 team in the country when you watch them on defense. It's just when they get on offense, they looked unranked. It's night and day. But Clemson, they're still coached by Dabo Swinney, a great coach who's beat Nick Saban twice in the national championship, unfortunately. I still give respect for that. And Clemson's got a good program over there. I'll put them at 10. At number 9, I got Texas A&M. Now, Texas A&M hasn't had a really great season before, even though they're hyped up every year. But they did have the number 1 recruiting class, which I never gave my thoughts on that. This whole summer, I didn't upload my thoughts on Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher. I never said anything about that. But I'll just keep my mouth closed. Yeah, Texas A&M, I'll put them at 9. I think they might fall apart during the season. I think Alabama is going to lay a whooping on them this year. I'll say that. But, that's a little bit farther into the year. But number 9, Texas A&M, a lot of high hopes for them this season. Number 8, Michigan State. They did pretty good last year, only losing 2 games. They lost a lot of pieces. They lost Kenneth Walker, their star running back. But, won this weekend, and I got to place them somewhere. And they did pretty good last year. They're a pretty good team. I'll put them at number 8. Number 7, Oklahoma State. Did pretty good last year. Again, lost some pieces. And I don't think they'll exactly be as good this year. But, based on what they did last year, I got to put some respect on their name. Number 7, Oklahoma State. Plus, they won this weekend. Number 6, Ole Miss. Again, they did good last year. Plus, Lane Kiffin's a good coach. And they won this weekend 28-10 versus Troy. That might not sound impressive, but Troy is a good group of 5 team. I'll put some respect on Troy. So, Ole Miss at number 6. Number 5, Baylor did really good last season. And they beat up on Albany. Now, I realize it's Albany. Or Albany, my bad. I realize it's them, but 69-10 is ridiculous either way. But, plus what they did last season, I'll put them at number 5. My top 4 teams. Number 4, I have the Michigan Wolverines. They whooped up on Colorado State this weekend. 51-7, I believe it was. Of course, Michigan did great last year. Lost a lot of people. Aiden Hutchinson to the draft. Some other pieces I can't think of right now. But, Michigan did good last year. Jim Harbaugh is a pretty good coach. I got to put respect on their name. I'll put them at number 4. At number 3, our top 3 teams really are what I think are our national title contenders. Number 3, I have the Ohio State Buckeyes. Obviously didn't look as great as I thought they were this weekend. But, they still beat a top 5 Notre Dame team. I put respect on them, and I think it's just maybe a beginning of the season hiccup. I think Ohio State will get rolling, and I have Ohio State going undefeated. But I'll put them at number 3. At number 2, this is where people will disagree heavily with me. I'm an Alabama fan, but I'm putting Alabama at 2. And that's not because I don't think Alabama could play Georgia. Alabama versus Georgia on a neutral site today, of course I'm picking Alabama to win that. Because, 1, I'm an Alabama fan, and 2, I think Alabama will get their revenge. But Alabama has not earned it yet. Roll Tide, I love Alabama. Hard, die hard. But number 2 is where I'd put them at. Simply because the defending national champions are always number 1. And until the defending national champions fall, the defending national champions are number 1. At least in my books. That is always how I've played it. Every single season. You can go back and look at all my previous predictions and rankings. That is always how I've done it. For Alabama and for other teams. But like I said, I think Alabama's the best team in the country. It's just a matter of when do they earn it. You know what I mean? But yeah, Alabama number 2. They throttled Utah State. I talked about this, and I can't wait for this season. I think it's going to be a good one. Roll Tide. And at number 1, I have the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, great team. Excuse me. They lost a lot. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. They lost a lot. They lost a whole starting side of the ball. I mean, they lost their entire defense. Plus, they lost George Pickens, their star wide receiver. And I believe they lost James Cook. They did lose a lot. But, I mean, it's just the fact they've reloaded like this. And Kirby Smart, incredible coach. Kirby Smart, I mean, one of the best coaches in college football. Maybe the best besides Nick Saban. Maybe second behind Nick. He's a great coach. And Georgia, man, they're just so good. And that, I mean, I think Oregon's overrated. But the way they handled them this weekend just proves to me that Georgia's going nowhere. And that Georgia deserves to be number 1. In my opinion. But I can't wait until they trip up to somebody so I can put Alabama number 1. Oh, I can't wait. Because I will. I will put Alabama number 1. But I'm a man of my word, and I've said for years that the defending national champions should be number 1 until they lose. But that was my recap and my personal top 10 after week 1. Man, I'm so glad college football is back, and we had an amazing week of college football to start it off. And I can't wait for next week. Thank you if you're still watching. This is probably a really long video because it's been a while since I uploaded. Plus, I did a recap and a top 10. Really 2 videos in one. So thank you if you watched this all the way. I really appreciate it. But that will be all from me today. Peace out.